wanted to answer a question I received recently from one of my followers. And the question is, why are we so scared to be ourselves? And this came from Laura. And I wanted to answer this question because it's really, first and foremost, being our true selves, being the wholeness of who we are, is one of the most important things for our health and for us to be able to experience heaven on earth. Because when we are suppressing ourselves, or we are hiding ourselves, or we're rejecting aspects of ourselves, or we're projecting parts of ourselves to others to be seen while putting other parts of ourselves in the shadows, that actually causes us to split from our soul's frequency, our soul's energy. And our soul's energy is the source of health, and it is the source of the manifestation of a life that tastes really good to us, right? But in order for us to manifest a life that tastes really good to us, we have to be ourselves. We have to be in our own home energy. So being ourselves is really, really vitally important for us as souls here having human experiences. But very few of us really do that. As a matter of fact, when I was on my deathbed, when I had my near-death experience in 2004, my first one of the biggest regrets that I had while I was dying was that I had never really been myself. That was the biggest regret. I had several, and I've done many videos about that. But the biggest one was that I had never really been myself. I felt that that was a tragedy. That was a travesty. That I could feel it in the essence of my being that I had robbed myself of my reason for living. And when I crossed over in my second near death experience, I saw how really being ourselves is the real purpose here, is our whole purpose for manifesting into this experience. So it's really important. But to answer the question, the reason why we don't why we're so afraid or so scared to be ourselves, we're not actually really scared to be ourselves. We are scared. What we're actually afraid of, the thing we're actually afraid of, is what we think will happen to us if we are our true selves in the world. And the reason why, and what we're afraid of that will happen, is that we will experience deep and terminal loss. Mostly loss of two things: the loss of belonging, right? That our loved ones may abandon us if they discover who we are and they don't agree with it, or the communities and cultures that we want to, belong to may not accept us and approve of us and open their arms to us if we are our true selves and they don't accept it. And so loss of belonging and acceptance. And then the real second thing is we're afraid of the loss of love, that we will lose love, that we won't be loved, that we will be ourselves in the world, and people will still feel that either they'll abandon us or they'll feel like that's still not enough. That's not what's loved. And where this comes from, this is the why we have this fear of loss. It's somewhere in our childhood, we either received a message that some aspect of our natural true self, whether that's some aspect of our personality or our sexuality or how we look, or our quirkiness or our shyness or our sensitivity, or our anger, or our any aspect of our our femininity or our masculinity, our difference, our uniqueness. We were taught somehow, whether that was through verbal or whether we saw that somehow modeled in our environment, or whether the culture and environment, the narratives that we received in our environment, whether that was from our family members or from people at school or something we saw on television or in our dominant culture, the narratives that were out were saying to us, what we were learned and were made to believe, is that this part of me that is true to me, if it sees the light, if I let it out and let it be seen, and I let myself be seen as this, I will lose love, I will lose acceptance, I will lose belonging. And love and acceptance and connection to other people are human needs. We need them. Like they're needs, just like you need to drink water and you need to eat food and you need to have shelter. Without those things, you will die. The same actually goes, we're not taught this really in school, but the soul knows this because those things feed your energy body. So we're taught a lot about your biological body, but as a soul, you have an energy body as well, and it has needs, and it needs to feel loved. It needs to feel loved, and it needs to feel loved in the ways of it being accepted and connection and belonging, right? And so when you have a fear of that, when you're made to believe that something about you will threaten your ability to receive your need, to get your need for love met, what you'll do is you'll develop a fear around expressing that, and that fear will keep you from doing it until you actually heal the fear, until you actually do the self love work and the inner work to heal the fear around being yourself and understanding that thing to really understand in this healing process is that you never really will be fully loved when you're not yourself. As a matter of fact, you will never know unconditional love if you're not yourself, if you're only expressing your true self conditionally, right? If you're only expressing aspects of yourself when you think it's safe, or aspects of yourself when you think it'll be approved of, and hiding those aspects when you don't, you never allow yourself to be fully in your body and your soul's energy to be fully in your body, and you never allow the universe to show you the truth of you, which is all of you is worthy and lovable and belongs here unconditionally. But when we are young, we may receive some type of social conditioning, or even you may have had trauma some type of way. By being yourself, you may have been traumatized, you may have been assaulted some type of way. This is especially true for people who grew up in places where they were expressing their sexuality, and that was not accepted and okay in certain areas, and they may have actually been physically beaten or abused because of that by family members or people in their culture or environment. Also, if you were, weird and quirky, and everybody else was not that, and they may have beaten you up because of that, or you might have gotten bullied because of aspects of yourself. So you have, either you got social conditioning or you got traumatization that said, being myself is not safe, and it's not safe because I'll receive punishment somehow, and or I'll receive loss. So that's why we're scared to be ourselves. And that's why we have to do the work of being ourselves, because we cannot be truly healthy. Our bodies cannot experience optimum health when we have pieces of us that are suppressed. That is how we manifest certain diseases. And you cannot manifest a life that feels like heaven to you. It'll always feel like hell. You'll feel in bondage. You'll feel like imprisoned in your life when you're not really fully yourself. You'll feel unhappy. You'll feel disconnected from yourself. And you won't really understand why you're feeling depressed. And that's because you're not you. And you need to be you to be happy and to be healthy and to receive the delicious kind of life that your soul incarnated here to receive, and that you wholly are worthy of. So I hope this sheds a little bit of light on that, on why we're scared to be ourselves. It's not your fault. It is something that you were taught when you were very young, usually, but it is your responsibility as an adult now to heal and to become yourself so that you can experience the delicious health and heaven that being yourself manifests. Much love. Until next time.